Joining us now is a woman who has worn many hats and who has a few missions and messages worth listening to. Welcome, Jodi Kovitz.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here today.
So you have a business degree and a law degree, and yet you've just been appointed CEO of a tech company where you hope to do great things. So tell us about this company and why women should really be perking up their ears, especially women interested in STEM.
So I'm thrilled to do that. I was recently hired by AceTech Ontario as their Chief Executive Officer to really transform how they are helping Canadian technology companies grow, scale, and really about building the ecosystem in Canada and helping to create density and lots of incredibly flourishing companies. Hopefully the unicorns of Canada will be supported through our work. That's really why they brought me on.
Okay. I still don't understand. Explain what AceTech does as a whole.
So AceTech Ontario is an association that provides education and support and builds community for CEOs and executives in the technology sector. So we actually help the CEOs of the companies in the tech space grow, develop, learn from one another, access capital, connections, mentors, so that they can then grow their companies successfully.
So Jodi, there's been talk about Silicon Valley North. Is that true? Are we rich in tech here?
That's a great question, and I think that is increasingly the case. I think that this is a very compelling time and a huge transformative time in the tech space in Canada. We are growing, and we are certainly not as well established as Silicon Valley. And part of the challenge that we face is really about attracting and retaining and developing talent, particularly at the leadership levels, that will enable the type of companies to flourish in Canada that are flourishing in Silicon Valley and in the US. So that is part of the mandate, actually, in my new role, is to really address some of those issues with the talent pool and help particularly with women.
Well, that's what I was going to zero in on, because you want to change the game with respect to advancing women.
I do.
How are you planning on doing that? Because we're eager.
Yeah, great question. I think it starts really with, number one, having very authentic conversation around the challenges we actually face, not just lip service or superfluous repetition of, work-life balance and can we have it. That is not, dialogue that's going to change the dial.
Christine and I call it the woo-woo factor.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I do a lot.
Just meditate and things will all work out.
Yes, exactly. And smile while you're at it. So first of all, starting with real dialogue. So for example, one of my first initiatives is coming up in the fall. The date will be announced soon, where in partnership with Factory, which is a company run by an incredible woman named Candace Factor, who is a leader in tech. She really grew, Wattpad tremendously after having, a lot of other experiences in technology. She grew the portfolio of companies at Torstar. And Riva Seth, who's the founder of the Optimal Living Lab, which is an organization I'm on the board of that's really driving innovation and change at sort of the highest level with Trudeau's sort of, engagement and along the lines of his campaign. The three organizations and AceTech are going to bring together emerging leaders, women in technology, to have what we're calling a hackathon. So it's to have a very real conversation about these issues. Why are they not advancing? Are there not opportunities for women?
Well, when Apple, the last time around, the last phone release, they didn't have any women on stage. This week, they made up for that. They had women on stage. But despite all this increased media focus on diversity as a business issue, and we have seen significant strides, there's a Reuters study that says 30% of 450 technology executives state their groups had no women in leadership positions. So you've still got a long road to hoe.
Yeah, a very long road to hoe, and I think it's it is obviously a huge issue, and it starts as early as young girls being in school and thinking about how you educate all people, including women, around technology and feeling confident in understanding technology and what that means. I think historically there has been, the research demonstrates a lot of bias in men and a lot of women thinking that having leadership roles in tech, or a role in tech that would ultimately allow them to develop into a leadership role, is really like a guy's thing. They like huddle together in a garage and code. And maybe once upon a time
it worked well for one team. I can think of.
Sure did. But no woman on that team. But that is not that. We live in a world where technology is everywhere. We're sitting in a room full of technology right now. It is everywhere. It is in everything we do, and it is really about changing the dialogue, very, very early on with young girls, then mentoring them and teaching them and encouraging them to pursue all sorts of interests, including an inclination towards technology as they grow.
Well, this is something, for example, that the new science minister, Kirsty Duncan, who was one of our first guests, she's saying exactly what you are saying now, only from a governmental standpoint. She feels that young children should be encouraged from day one.
100%. And I believe very strongly that it is necessary for the private sector and the government to partner together to think about how do we raise a generation where there is gender equality and true diversity in the innovation. It's not for lip service sake. It's really that, there's tons of research that demonstrates that diverse teams actually improve the bottom line, dramatically improve the culture in an organization, all of that. So
tell us where the just say hello mindset factors into all this?
It's a great question. So Just Say Hello, just to sort of share about it, is a joy project of mine that I've been working on and honing for the last couple of years. And it came out of work that I did, my last role, where I was, developing strategy and revenue focus for a large national law firm at Osler, Hoskin & Harcourt with 100 partners who weren't used to necessarily having to hunt for work. This is a new world of law. It used to come to the, strongly branded firms, and now they have to hunt for it and build relationships. So we started, really working proactively. They're really a leading innovator in the space to develop relationships that would result in revenue long term. And one of the things that I realized through that work, and also just reflecting on my entire life of relationships, business relationships, is that if you show up to every opportunity to meet somebody with a mindset that it is not a transaction, instead, it is an opportunity to create a meaningful relationship that could be mutually beneficial. Your life can change in those moments. But if you let those moments pass you by and the relationship doesn't even have the opportunity to blossom, you're missing out on so many opportunities. So that's number one, is that it's really about saying, if I just push myself out of my comfort zone and say hello to the stranger on the street, although you can be, I mean to be more strategic and thoughtful than that, but push myself to send the cold email to the woman I admire who's the CEO of Microsoft and say, "Hi, I'm Jodi. I'd love to learn some things from you. Can I pick your brain?" The worst she can say is no. But if I dare myself and push myself into the mindset and say, "I just wanted to say hello to you because I admire you, and I'd love 10 minutes of your time."
So would you say that to young women who want to get into the tech space, to just send an email to Apple and say, "Hey, I graduated. I want a job."
So great,
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, great
They
question.
will find you. They send out tests, secret tests to you. Have you seen these tests that come out? If you're really good at tech, you get a series of questions just arrive on your computer, and if you accept them, you can get hired right off your computer.
Isn't that interesting?
They're watching
That's
you.
That's very interesting. It's
Apple
scary.
and Google.
It's scary.
My.
Obviously, the advice I give depends on the person that I'm talking to. If you're a first-year student in university, I'm not necessarily recommending that your first cold email should be the CEO of Apple or Google. But, reach out to the person who you admire that you saw win some award at your school, or reach out to your cousin's friend who's in a business that you're interested in. Or if you meet
Just say hello.
Just say hello all the time. Just say hello, because you never know what can happen as a result of those. And there have been, transformative experiences for me and many people I've spoken to in that regard.
Okay, so tell everyone where they can connect with you and find out more about the program.
So in terms of AceTech, the website is acetechontario.com, and you can learn about our programming. I've just started. I literally just started this week, and so I'm in the process of really, thinking through our strategy, so that there'll be lots more and fresh programming and lots coming out in a couple of months. Very excited about that. And justsayhello.ca is my website, and would love to invite people to join. And I'm about to launch a blog where I'll be sharing featuring stories of how other people build relationships and Just Say Hello's transform their lives. So I'd love to share that.
And so we'll keep an eye out for the hackathon that's coming.
Yes,
absolutely.
It'll be in November, date to be announced.
Thank you so much, Jodi.
Thank you.
After the break, a music guru, Eric Alper, is going on the record to chat with us about music for cats. Yes, music for cats. This is What She Said on The Jewel. We'll be right back, I promise.